We're back.
What's up,
Episode
y'all?
2. What's up, y'all? We are here. Welcome to the Tap In. I am Chris Harris,
And I am Dystany Spurlock.
and we are here. How was your week?
Oh my gosh, how was my week? You see, I'm stuttering, so that should tell you how crazy of a week I've had. But it was a really good week. I've been very, very, very busy, but I got a lot done. So yeah. How was yours?
Like the Matrix? Like I was trapped in the Matrix or something like that, and the red or blue pill wasn't working. That's that's how it was for me this weekend. But
I get it.
I'm super hyped because we got our first official guest tapping in.
Yes, we do, and it's my sister. Well, I'm not gonna give away too much, but yeah, I'm hyped too. This is gonna be a really great episode, and it's that girl power thing. So we about to take over the world, Craig.
Girl power. I'm stuck, fellas. It is what it is. I'm just gonna marvel in the excellence and just listen up. But the lady's taking over tonight.
Yeah, we are.
so,
We are.
so kind of give us a preview of who our guest is. Destiny, let the world know who we got tapping in with us.
So, guys, our special guest that we have, I'm not going to give you all the information because I want her to introduce herself and tell you guys who she is. But I will tell you that we have Mikayla Moore, who is the 2023 Royal Enfield Build Train Race Championship, y'all. She killed it this year. Right? Isn't that awesome?
Nah, let's go. To be a
So,
champion, period, is crazy. Not many people get a chance to do that.
right, and she's so young too. Like, oh my goodness, y'all. Y'all don't understand. This is history breaking. This is groundbreaking. Like, the girls are on it this year. So, are you ready to bring her in, Chris?
Time to tap in.
Let's tap in.
Hello.
Hey. What up, what up, what up?
Nothing much. Super excited.
Welcome to the show. We're excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Just
Yes.
like
What's up,
Destiny said,
Michaela?
man.
Hi, Destiny.
Just like she said, man, it's just the excellence that you bring and all of your accomplishments. And you're only 19 years old, which is
Yeah.
absolutely insane.
Yeah.
How does it feel, like, to be so young and dominating the field like you have? Like, what does that feel like?
So, I'm a very honest person. So, our last race was August 18th through the 20th. That was our whole last race weekend. And going into the weekend, I was super excited and I was super nervous because that's just a natural feeling that I get when I'm about to go out there and ride. And then I'm like, man, the championship's on the line. I know I have it in the bag, but things can happen. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do what I can, which is always try to hit my marks, make sure the bike is good, things like that. So Saturday, I couldn't get sleep at all that whole weekend. We stayed in a hotel room. I know my roommate was probably like, if this girl does not go to sleep, I could not just stay asleep for whatever reason. Super excited. I kept thinking I was gonna miss my alarm clock so we can leave the hotel. Just a lot of different things was happening. And it's finally the time to get up, and I'm like, all right, we had that morning on Saturday we had we had qualifying to do and then it was race time. So I'm like, but it was a long, super long break. We started at 8 o'clock in the morning for qualifying, and we didn't race until 4:45. So it was I'm like, all right, I need I gotta do something between these times. And then race time comes, and I'm like, all right, let's just do what I need to do. In that race, it wasn't a bad race. There was one sector that I just couldn't get through my fastest, and the other lady, she was faster than me through there. So I'm nervous, man, I just need to don't go down. That's the whole goal. Don't crash. You can finish second place, whatever. All I needed was 3 points. So 3 points is not a big deal. You know what I mean? It's 3 points. What is 3 points? And
Right.
I'm like, man, let's go out here, have fun. And the girl has shown me a wheel. I, like 3 laps before the race ended, and I'm like, oh heck no. I'm like, I'm falling off. And luckily I was able to finish the race and I got first. And, I came in and just had my whole family there. Like all my family, all my friends are there. The whole team, everyone's like super excited. So it was like a big feeling like coming off. I felt like super emotional coming off the grid. Because like my first like AMA championship. And for me, my dream was to always just be in the Moto America paddock. So to win a championship was like definitely it was an icing on the cake for me.
That's right.
For those of y'all who don't know, and she kind of just said it towards the end, Mikayla races in not MotoGP, but she road races on motorcycles. So we have two motorcycle queens here getting it in, and it's super awesome. And I used to run Palm Beach International Raceway in Jupiter, Florida, and for 2 years, and there we had a lot of motorcycle road racing. So it was just amazing to see the knee dragging and the leaning, but I never realized how dangerous of a sport it is because almost every race we had, I kid you not, we had to call a medevac in the helicopter, the Trauma Hawk, to lift somebody out. And then it was like, and it was sad, but I almost expected it every race because that's how many times we had to do it. And man, 19 years old getting it in, and obviously you haven't had any of those issues, but man, that's amazing what you're doing.
Yes, that's so awesome. So I do want to ask you a question, Mikayla. You said that during one of the laps, you knew that she was faster than you, correct?
One of the segments. So in road racing, we have, I guess, you can
like sectors.
Yeah, drag racing. You know how you guys have like the 60-foot and then the quarter mile, the 8 mile, all this stuff. So for us, we have like, granted, ours is a circuit course, but there's sectors from like however many turns at that track, they'll break it down in 3 sectors. And she was faster in the middle sector. So everywhere else, like I had a faster lap time, and she would just like point however many tenths or hundredths of a second off I was. But she was faster than me through those areas. So
do you know that on the bike or?
That's what I was gonna ask.
So for us, so every time we have our sessions, at the end they give us our qualifying practice session, whatever, and it'll tell us what sector it is. The only thing is, you don't know how much faster that person is going. You only know the time wise. You know if they have more mile an hour than you, maybe breaking later in that corner. So you kind of like gotta juggle, like I guess like trying to know what they're doing, but also, I mean, it's not like they're gonna tell you what they're doing because they want to win, so.
We just talked about telling secrets and not telling. Yeah, that's amazing. So, would it be easy? Are you allowed to have helmet communications?
No. Even though I was in a race where probably 3-4 years ago, a competitor that we knew was using helmet communications, and we found out at the end of the race. Yeah. He was like,
that is not fair. Oh my God.
It wasn't. It was crazy because the track we was at NC Bike, and there's one part of the track where the track is pretty much flat, and where the spectators can go watch, it's like pretty much open, so you literally see the whole track. So my dad was back. I'm racing. I'm not thinking anything of it, but my dad was watching the guy, and he's like, "Who the heck is he talking to?" And he's like telling the guy, like, "He's on your left, no, go to the right." So he's like, dude, are you like really talking to the guy in your helmet? And they ended up getting disqualified for the race, but yeah. People have tried.
Crazy.
In the following year, the rule book came out that you cannot use helmet communications. And I'm like, man, the fact that people really tried that and, do that. Yeah.
So there was no rule prior to that?
Well,
or was it like an unwritten rule?
Yeah, it was an unwritten. It wasn't written in the rule book, but besides helmet communications, there's other ways in road racing you can do what you need to do. You can sabotage the competitor,
So what you're saying is it's a gray area in the rule book, and people find a way around it.
I mean,
I can't even front. If there was this rule that did, if there was nothing that said no helmet comms, I'd be like, "Yo, talk to me." I'll be out there like, "Lewis Hamilton, talk to my team."
It was great that year, but I think I ended up like winning that race. I think it was like I think it was like 2 or 3 other people that was like, "What the heck is going on?" They're like, "I'm trying to get around this person," and like I don't know. We're like, they're using helmet communication. They're like, "Are you serious?" We're like, "Yeah." So he told that to the manager that was running the race, and they disqualified the guy. So yeah, he learned his lesson.
Jeez.
As we know in racing, you're gonna do what you gotta do, try to win, and you're gonna
Yeah,
keep doing it until you get caught. So
yeah,
it's no telling how long he was doing it.
exactly.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah.
Right. So, Mikayla, I want you to tell the people your story. For those of them that don't know who you are, don't know where you started, let's hear it. Tell them.
So I'm 19. I'm from Upper Marlboro, Maryland, and I guess my getting into motorcycle, well, more like dirt bikes at a young age. My dad, I was 3 years old, and he would take me around the neighborhood on the dirt bike, to break me out the fear of hearing the bikes. Because for some reason, I found this out at a later age, but he was like, I would start up the bike, and you would go run in the corner somewhere, and I'm like he, and all it was just start up the bike. And he would just take me around the neighborhood. And then after a while, I started getting comfortable doing that. And then I turned 6 years old, and excuse me, I had flipped a four-wheeler at a very young age, and they thought I was going to be done for the day. And I ended up trying a dirt bike later on, which I guess that's like started the passion for two wheels. I was like, man, forget four-wheelers. Like, I don't even to this day, I'm not a fan of four-wheelers, to be honest. I think that childhood trauma, you know.
You traumatized.
So yeah, dirt bikes, and like I said, my dad he tried us out in and dirt bike just to see if we would like it. Give me 1 second.
Sounds like the compressor is trying to build up.
Somebody getting it in over there. Yep.
So
Yeah, that was quick.
yeah, back to the story. So my dad, he was just like, if you guys like, riding dirt bikes, like this is just gonna be something for fun. They tried me in other sports like gymnastics, ballet, and I didn't really like take to it. But then my dad is a big like family person, so if he can keep everyone in the same place at the same time, it was like super easy for him. And then we just did everything as a family, which worked out. My mom rode, my brother rode, he rode, and then I rode. So then at 8, I did my first mini moto race, which is basically you take a dirt bike and you put street tires on it. And I got second in that race. And my dad told me that I came back in, and I said that I needed scooter tires to beat the girl in front of me because I was on like tires that couldn't allow me to go that fast, but they just got me around the track. And my dad knew from there, like, all right, it seems like she wants to race. So I did that. Then at 12, started on the Ninja 250. And to be honest, I was like, I looked it up online. I said, yeah, I'm not riding that. I was like, I couldn't even fit that thing. It looks like I was just doubting the bike, talking all the wrong things about the bike. And he's like, you haven't even tried it. Like, why are you doubting yourself? Like, you may get on it, you may like it. And I'm like, no, I won't. Like, I just want to stick to the minis. And he's like, try your hands. I tried it and actually enjoyed it. And then from there, 2017, I got my race license, and then I've been racing since then. So it's definitely been a journey of racing, riding, and I've been a coach for 5 years now, I believe, or 4 years. So
Wait, you coach too?
Right. Say that again.
Yeah, I do. I coach people on GT. It was crazy because we was the youngest ones to join the track day organization at the time because me and our brother was because if it comes to getting kids into road racing or even just the track day space, insurance can be a big deal with that. So they was like, hey, if you guys do this, you guys got to sign a lot of paperwork. Ended up working out, and then like later on down the road, me and my brother had both we had got into the advanced classes, and people was like, man, like how did you guys get so fast? We're like, well, my dad, but me and our brother, we train a lot. And they're like, well, could you guys coach me? And the organization, they was like, man, we keep getting a lot of people that's asking like, what would it take for them to become coaches? So they was like, hey, if you guys want to coach, go ahead and do that. So yeah, I love it so far. So
that is a phenomenal story, Mikayla. Oh my gosh. Like
19-year-old coach. What?
yep.
How old were you when you started coaching?
So let me see, 4 years. So like 16, I was 16.
That is a big deal. Oh my gosh. I feel like people work all their lives to become a coach, and here you are at 16 doing it.
Yeah, it is crazy because like a lot of people, like even now to this day, like when I graduated, they're like, man, I remember you and your brother was on the Ninja 250 days, and you guys were so small coming around us, and now you guys are graduating. I'm like, yes, the time does fly.
That is
when
so
you were
awesome.
in high school, you had to have been the coolest person in the damn school, right? Just the motorcycle racing, to be coaching, and like.
Well, I would say I was the coolest person in my dad's shop because me and my brother were both homeschooled.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wait, wait,
Yes,
wait, wait.
competition.
Wait, Chris, did she throw a shot at her brother? She said, I would say I was the coolest person in the shop.
So they see, most of the time, like, of course, it's natural for, sons and dads to be working on bikes. But then when they see me, they're probably like, oh, what do? You collect the invoices, you check inventory and all this other stuff. I'm like, no, no, no. I work on the bikes as well. I'm fixing your issues, stuff like that. Yeah, exactly.
It's funny you say that, Mikayla, because you know me being a woman in male-dominated sport, I get that all the time too. They're like, "Oh, okay. So, is this your boyfriend's bike, or, are you the who's the rider?" And I'm like, me. Like, yeah, I'm a girl, but I do this.
Don't count me out now.
That's right. And then you, Mikayla, you know how to work on the bikes, like down to a full rebuild. So tell the people about that.
So my first rebuild that I did was I have a 2009 ZX6, and the bike so we got it from a friend that was a track bike, and apparently it had like some water pump issue because the coolant or temperature on the bike would like fluctuate, and it would get like 220 and all this other stuff. So at the time, another customer needed a motor, so we're like, all right, take the motor from your race bike, put it in his bike, we'll just fix the water pump and he'll be square to go, whatever. And then he's like, your bike, if you want, we can just take the time because it'll be down to frame, swing arm, forks, and wheels, whatever. We can razzle dazzle it up. So my dad, I was like, well, I want the bike like this and look like that and touch it up. And I gave a lot of my ideas that I wanted to do. So he got in contact with the right people. He painted the frame and the swing arm. And then we had my uncle, he powder coated my wheels. And then the whole graphics on it, they actually surprised me with the graphics because they knew that my favorite color is like vibrant colors. So I'm like pink, purple, blue. So they got the graphics guy to make a design based off of that. And that's probably every time I ride the bike, like it's very special to me. People like, it's just a bike. I'm like, no, it's not just a bike. It's my bike. Like this is a special connection right here. This thing runs because of me.
Yeah.
It's a part of you. Word.
Of course. All the
That's
blood, sweat,
awesome.
and tears that went into that bike,
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super dope. So tell me the first, like one thing that I've always impressed, like I've always wanted to do it, but I know it never happened. The knee drag is such like to me, it's like a phenomenon. It's like the create. I was watching this video the other day on Instagram, and this guy pretty much shoulder was almost on the ground on the turn, and I was just like, how Sway? Like, talk about this knee drag life. I need to hear it. This is my first time hearing it from somebody. Talk to me about this, man.
Man, so a lot of people ask me that because, like, especially when I'm coaching people and they're like, yeah, I want to drag my knee, or some people are like, how do you do it? And I'm like, at this point, it's like a little challenging trying to explain it because I do it so often, and to me, it just comes naturally. It's like muscle memory, So when I do it, I just do it. People ask like, well, how? I'm like, that's the part. Like it's just like you come to a corner and like my body, like, all right, naturally, you're gonna grab a few gears. You're gonna trail break in, and then boom, you take your knee off the bike and let it scrape. That's what I. But it is a good feeling when it's like your very first time doing it. A lot of people get like super stoked over that.
I love how. Go ahead, Chris.
Did you fall a lot trying to do? Is this something that you have to practice, or you just kind of like go for it, and if you bite it, and you just get up and try again?
So the good thing with my dad, which thankful for him, and the best thing about having both my parents in the space, because like a lot of people are like, how does your mom, deal with this? I'm like, what do you mean? How does she deal with it? Like this is what she does this as well. So there's nothing about having to deal with anything, It just this is like I said, everything is family oriented. So she's the videographer and my dad is the instructor. So dad is dad on a day-to-day basis. But when it comes times to us practicing, he's coach. So it's not like daughter, get back up, come here. It's like, no, get back on the bike and like, let's do this again. And for me, the crazy part was there has been time, like I have videos of me like falling and like you like you're in a parking lot. So you kind of like low side, like you just fall off the bike and you get back up and you just try it again. And eventually you'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
But practice makes perfect. Well, I shouldn't say practice makes perfect, but practice makes like you proficient.
Mm-hmm. And
I just
for
want
women,
somebody to like. I just want somebody to Photoshop me doing it, and I think I'll be okay with that.
That's cheating, Chris. No. No.
I won't even tell a story. I'll just put the picture of it on the wall and let them think whatever they want to think.
Chris,
But
it's not cute. No.
I'm gonna put my big ass on the bike and be like, "That ain't you."
Guys, like I've seen that picture before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, right. So, Mikayla, question: what is it like being a woman in a predominantly male sport? I get asked this question all the time, so I would love to hear it from your space.
For me, it's actually have been a great experience. It was crazy because like being in mini moto space and then now racing motorcycles now. When I was younger, I would show up to the track and a lot of them. It's not like no one like looked me up and down or anything like that, or the other kids would do that. It was just like, oh, like that's cool. You have a girl in the space, but things didn't start to kind of like change when they was like, holy crap, this girl's fast. Is when I started like beating them, and they'd be like, yo, like where did this come from? Where are you from? Like, what training did you go through? And I'm like, well, my dad, to be honest. But for me, like, it's super cool because like I feel like now, even at this point, mini moto coaching and then still racing, a lot of the guys respect me. In the beginning, some of them would want to, talk trash or whatever. But like I said, everything changes once the helmet goes on. Everybody can talk a lot of stuff off the bike, but once you get on the track, you got to follow through with it. And some of them are not able to deliver or finish the assignment. So for
That's confidence for me. Yes, Mikayla.
all right, exactly.
AKA when I start whipping their ass, then they start showing some respect.
Yes. It's been good, Like I said, a lot of the guys respect me. Every time they see me, they're like, "Yo, like, what's up, man?" Like, and then the good thing for me is I help them get faster because they'll get behind me, and it's crazy because like lately I've been hearing a lot of people tell me they're like, "When I watch you ride, like you're so smooth on the trail, like you make no mistakes." I'm like, "Well, that's the goal every time I'm out there because I feel like when you don't make your mistakes and you hit your marks, you get faster every time, and that's what happens with me." So I'm like, as long as I can hit my marks and three things: hit my marks, have fun, and just do what needs to be done, which is at the end of the day try to win that race. Then I'm like, that's what I have to do. That's my job.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love the have fun part. It took me a while to understand that because in the beginning I was so eager to go fast, so eager to win, and
Yep.
I lost track of the fun. And when you lose track of the fun, now it's like I don't even want to do this. Why am I doing this? So that's so good that you keep that in your key points.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of fun, Chris, didn't you say you wanted to ask her some crazy questions?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like there's so many different dynamics of people, and you learn things, and like, we have conversations like we were having a this and that conversation the other day. So I was just like, you know what? I wanted to ask Mikayla some of these this or that questions. So
okay, I'm ready.
Essentially, I'm gonna shoot the question, and you pick, and then you can even give a background behind it. But I want to see what your choices are, right? So like the first one is pretty simple. It's racing related. Yamaha or Kawasaki?
Kawasaki.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. I got a Ninja 250, a Ninja 300, a Ninja 400, and a ZX6. So yeah.
Yeah, she's a Cali girl to the end, huh?
Yes. Okay, Kawasaki, you hear that? You hear that?
Word. That sponsors the factory sponsorship going.
My dad got like Kawasaki bear that gives me confidence before I go out there. So it's like literally a Kawasaki. I call it Cowie the Kawasaki bear. So a lot of people.
Cowie the what?
The Kawasaki bear. Like I don't have it here because it says my RV, but yeah. It's really a bear, and it's like a small like little teddy bear,
We love you, Cowie.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm not jacking that. I'm gonna let it rock though. It's all good.
Yeah.
So out of your bikes, the Ninja 400 or the ZX6?
A lot of people ask you that question. Okay, I'm not going to choose either or because there's a pros and a cons to both of them.
Okay.
That's not how the game goes.
600 then 600
Woo!
Okay.
But I still want to hear the explanation about like the pros and
Yeah.
cons. I still want to hear it.
So the ZX, because it has speed and I love speed. Like I'm an adrenaline junkie. Like last year or 2 years ago, I went skydiving for my birthday and I made my parents and my brother do it. I'm like, that's mandatory. Yeah. I made all of them do it and it was a great time. So the ZX, because I love the speed of it. The 400, I just have more fun on it. Just is like, I think the top speed I got on it was maybe like 130. For me, that's just enough speed because granted that's straightaway speed, but in the corners, I'm able to like flick it or I'm able to maneuver the bike better than the ZX. It's, doesn't weigh as much. Granted, it doesn't have speed, but I can carry more corner speed and have like, for me, it's more so of a learning bike, because that's like where I guess keep, like I said, you have to, my dad always told us that you have to learn how to ride a slow bike fast before you can ride a fast bike fast. And I dealt with a lot of people that get these new bikes and they want to be like, oh, I got this 1000. And for me, I love my 400 because I just eat them up in the corners because, a 400 and the R1 or even the Gixxer 600, they're two speed are two different things. So 400 all day. But the ZX first, like I said, I love speed. So I got to go with that.
Nah, that's so true. That's a good saying when you were like, your dad said you have to learn how to ride a fast bike, a slow bike fast before you can ride a fast bike fast. And corners are so humbling. 'Cause I never forget my first motorcycle was the ZX14. That was my first bike ever.
Really?
Just out the gate with the ZX14. And of course, naturally, I think I'm the baddest man on the planet, right? My neighbor had an R1, so we would go down the highway and I would just destroy this dude, no problem. So one day he's like, yo, follow me through Bear Mountain, and it's in like upstate New York.
Yep.
So I'm like, cool. And I hit the straight A, I was out. Then he caught up and he hit the turns. He was waiting for me off his bike at the bottom of the mountain by the time I got to him. And he had the proper tire on his bike. He had the proper setup and everything. So he was just throwing the bike through the turns, and I'm slowing down because my bike's not set up for that.
Yeah.
So it was just like, it was such a humbling experience. I wanted to kick my bike off the mountain. I was so mad. It just shows you, like, sometimes being fast isn't always about speed, Being fast isn't always about speed. And you on dirt bikes once upon a time too. So do you like the dirt bikes more than the street bikes? I know the dirt bikes, they're really torquey.
The fastest that I had on the dirt, that at least I got to road was a 450. That bike was like crazy. It was crazy because the trail that we would ride at, it was kind of like narrow, so you really had to like keep your eyes up. Like it required a lot of you to do. For me at the time, I think I was like 11 or 12 when I rode that bike, and I was like, what the heck? Like I took it around 1-2 laps, slow laps, and I was like, yeah. I said, Pops, you can have it. Just put. I would go back riding my little, I think I had like a CRF 100, but I like the street. I like it better. I like the asphalt.
Like the asphalt better. Now I've also seen you drag racing. I've seen a couple of videos on your social media.
I have a drag racing.
Yeah, I saw you on. I think on the 14, you were at a Maryland International Racing. That's right.
Talk about
Yeah, so Ronnie Reese has known me since basically I was a baby. Him and my dad used to ride like back in the day, all sort of stuff. So, the very first time they was like, yeah, you want to come out to Maryland, and I kid you not, like I was like not for it at all. I was like, no, I never been on this bike. It's a ZX14. Absolutely not. Like, how can I don't even know how to do a burnout. I was asking so many questions. They're like, listen, just get on the bike. No one's really here. They're going to know you're new. Just make a pass. You're worried about the wrong things right now. I was trying to figure out who would run the fastest time and trying to run that before just getting on the bike and just taking off. So I'm like, well, how do I take off? And they're like, listen, Ronnie was like, act like you're at a stop sign or act like you had a stop light and the light just turned green. He's like, take off, act like you're taking off from the light. And I did that and I'm like, all right, it's not bad. And then the second time I felt more confident doing it and I enjoyed it. But for me, I don't know. It's something about just every single lap on asphalt and doing it in a circuit. It's like, I don't know. So like somewhere like Summit Motorsports Park, it's a minute and my fast like a minute and 21 to get around there. For me, drag racing lasts so freaking quick. I need the laps to keep going for me. So that's why I choose road racing over drag racing. Like I said, for me, it just, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, just something about coming up to corners, you know?
Mhm.
So I'm gonna piggyback off that, Mikayla. So this year is my first year doing some course racing in the cars, right?
So how you
So
like,
so exactly what you said, like drag racing, it's one and done, it's so quick, and it's like, okay, what's next? Since I've gotten into the cars, oh my gosh.
yeah.
Now when people ask me, they're like, do you like the cars better or do you like the bikes? I'm like, I will push that bike in the corner,
So,
get me in the car on a circuit
what?
because
I knew he would be like, no drag racing all day. Wow. Yeah.
no, seriously, I have found a new love in it. And not to say that I would ever do it with in motorcycles because I'm good on that.
Yeah.
That's your lane. You got it. But the cars, I'm so here for it. And it's so much more that you can do. Like
Yep.
you can start dead last. And then by the time at the end of the race, you're all the way back up there to first.
Exactly.
And anything can happen at any time, but it just gives you time to be able to regroup yourself if something does happen. And then if faster people are in front of you, you
Yep.
can follow them to get faster. It's just so much more to it. So yeah, I respect what you do, girl.
Okay. Yeah. Always
And I feel
ask.
like mentally too, it's more of a chess match because
Yep.
I did open wheel racing for a little bit through a school that doesn't exist anymore, Berto Roos, and it was the same thing. Being drag racing for so long, it's so quick, and you're racing next to somebody, so you have that moment in time, but
Yep.
then it's over. You know,
And
when you're
last,
taking laps and you got people on the track with you, it's such a strategy, especially because they're trying to block you and stop you from passing them too.
yep.
So it's kind of I feel like with drag racing, there's less opportunities. You're more racing against the clock versus the
Yeah.
person next to you in certain instances versus when same thing on a road course, but you have more opportunities to improve. It's not like it's 10 seconds, you're off the track waiting an hour to get back on.
Yep.
Like, and
Yep.
if you mess up, you got to wait that hour. If this, you
Yeah.
mess up on the lap, you could just fix it the next lap and keep
Yep.
going.
And
And
that was
20
my.
minutes is a long time. How long are your races typically?
So it's crazy because and I just did a 66 lap race by myself. So I was out there for an hour. I think it said we had an hour and 20.
So would that be considered an endurance race?
Yeah, we did an endurance race. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So my first time actually doing it solo. 2 years ago, the track that they did it at this weekend, they didn't run that track last year, so it was like my first time back to it. Well, at least racing the endurance race. 2 years ago, me and my dad did it, and then the year before that, me and my brother did it. And the first year we got second. The second year, me and my dad got fourth, and then this year I got fourth. I was in first the whole time. Literally, I was doing so well. I was like, yes. And then I had to come in for fuel, and I was like, no, because the bike drank so much gas. I don't know how in the world it did that. Like, it drank a lot of gas. Like, I only got 20 laps in, and I had to come in. They're like, what are you coming in for? I'm like, it needs gas. You're like, how? I'm like, I don't know. And my bike, the bike that I did run, is not built like my other bike. So a lot of people was like, well, how did you drink that much gas? And the built bikes that are out there didn't drink that much gas. I'm like, yeah, I know. I don't. Please don't ask those questions now, because I got fourth is what it is. But the good thing is, like, every year that we do the endurance race, we get better at it, and things like that. So I know come next year, I got a little bit more things to do come next year. So
How do you
That's it.
train for that though? Because I've been on bikes taking trips. We used to do New York City to Philly, and depending between the vibration and everything, just holding on to the like my hands tired. Like for 60 an hour and change on a bike racing, like
yeah.
what do you do to combat that fatigue?
So for me, I race with Azra, and they have like these 25-minute GT races. So 25 minutes, I think you get like 13 laps in from the start to the end. And you're kind of like dicing up like the whole time you're battling. But an hour and some change is a lot more. For me, so I wear like these hand palm grips, which basically like takes the calluses and the vibrations out of my hand or whatever. So it kind of prevents me. Granted, I have not ever got like arm pump or anything, but it provides more comfort for my hands because you're always like moving like your left and right hand from downshifting to twisting throttle, braking, a whole lot of things. And then the crazy part was like during the race, like I was already going to race. I'm like, man, I was like, I'm doing this by myself. My dad's a backup rider, but my main goal is to like do this by myself. Our woman did. And like the first 20 laps, like me and this other kid, we was like battling it out. And then I came in for fuel, took some Pedialyte, and then but the race before I take like vitamins, whatever. So it prevents like me from getting like muscle cramps or just and kind of gives like an energy booster. So for me, but what really helps me is Pedialyte. I drink Pedialyte like all the time. And then like I ate super light that morning, barely ate anything. So I'm like, listen, once the race is over, I'm gonna eat like however I want to eat. But right now, we got to eat as light as possible because I know the other teams, they prepared for this. And also for me, I don't know, I feel like it's a mindset. Like once you lock in, like with hitting your marks, and then I have a lap timer. So every time that it's green, I'm like, all right, I'm hitting my marks. But if it goes red, I'm like, all right, the next lap, I got to make sure that lap timer stays green or at least stay consistent. Like don't, like my fastest is running a 121 there. And then like my consistent laps, I was doing like 22s and 23s. But for me, that's good. If I was running like 25s, 26, then I'm like, all right, someone else got to get on the bike. Because then I'm fatiguing myself, not realizing it, but I'm pushing myself. But also, that's how things happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Because mentally you start, I guess, paying attention to other things. You're not focused. You're
Yeah.
just.
But the good thing, that's another thing about road racing. You cannot, it's like three things. You can't overthink anything. Like you can't go into the race like already doubting yourself, anything like that. You cannot for 1 second guess a pass or yourself, because the minute you take your eyes off what you need to look at, that's when you're out. That's when you run off the track. That's when you go down. That's when just a lot of different things start happening. So for me, like there's times I was making passes. I'm like, if I'm gonna go for it, like don't like just go for it. And that's what I did. And a lot of people's like, yo, the pass that you was making, I'm like, I know. They was like, how do you do that? I'm like, just I don't think about it. I just go for it. Because like I said, the minute you second guess it, then that's when things start going down.
It sounds like you have to have a lot of mental toughness. So like is that something you prepared? Like is there something specific that you do to prepare for that, or it just comes natural?
I would probably say so. When I was younger, I was like very, very cocky. Like I just knew I was the ish. Like no one couldn't touch me. I'm like, man, I'm the baddest, youngest girl out doing this.
Tell them. I love it.
And I think I was like 7 or 8 years old. Like I take it back, like 9. And my dad was like, he told me, he was like, you need to go out there, and he was like, you need to go practice. And I'm like, for what? I said, I've been to the track before. I don't need to practice. And he's like, well, there's a faster kid that's out there. He's like, you should go out there. And I'm like, I'm fine. So the kid's out there riding, and he's like, and my dad starts helping him, and I'm getting mad. Like, I'm like, why are you helping him? He's like, well, he's the one that wants to learn. You want to say that you don't need my help and all this other stuff. And the kid ended up beating me. And ever since then, I was humbled at a young age. So I say that to say, for me, it's like the main thing is always staying humble, but to also like you're gonna have your good and you're gonna have your good days and your bad days and your good sessions and your bad sessions. The thing is just not letting it like take over you. Like out there, like I got P4 and you got fourth, and at first I was like, like not like mad at myself, but frustrated because I'm like, man, maybe if I knew that the bike was gonna drink this much gas, I would have prepared for that better, or like just certain different things. But I'm like, at the end of the day, I accomplished my goal. I finished the race because anything could have happened. So I'm like, I feel like when you start looking at the positive sides of things instead of looking at the negative sides, like that's how racing is. You can't focus too much on negative, because the negative you can make that negative into a positive.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
My word of advice, and this may go against so many people saying or feelings, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Yeah. Being humble is overrated. Let me tell you something. You good, talk your ish if you want to talk it. Go out there. Being humble by definition is dimming your light for other people. Damn all that, right? Like, be confident in who you are. Like, if you want to talk your crap, talk it and tell them the back. Now, you're not being disrespectful. Yeah. But, talk, I'm the best. Ali said I'm the baddest, and he proved it. Jordan, talk your ish. Like,
okay, so I'm going to have a transparent moment right now since we're talking about that, right? So coming up through the ranks and things like that, I was always told, be humble, be humble, be humble, right? So now I'm in this fight with myself where it's like, oh, be humble, but you can be you too and feel, and pop your collar and feel like you that girl, right? So it's so cool to hear y'all say it's okay, like to just
Yeah.
be you, talk your stuff, and not
Like,
care.
yeah.
Like it's
So
so true. And you think about the business of sports, right? Like how the landscape has changed. You talk about, let's look at Floyd Mayweather. When he was Pretty Boy Floyd and he was humble, wasn't
Yeah.
nobody thinking about him. He wasn't making the money. They didn't until he was Money Mayweather. Now he
yeah.
can't read, but that ain't my problem or anybody else's problem. But when he decided to not be humble anymore, people hated him, but he got paid. And my
Yeah.
whole thing is that regardless of how you think, if he's calling himself the best ever, nobody's beat him. You
Yeah.
can't beat him. So the only way to shut him up is to beat him.
That's
And
right.
when you think about, like Lewis Hamilton's, he's like some people think he's cocky, and to me, I feel like he's such a in the depth, like a humble guy. But Lewis Hamilton be talking his ish too, right? So
No,
it's
he
like
really does.
as like black women, so many times you're expected to like, when you think about Serena Williams and when she was coming up in the game and she's pumping her fists and doing all that stuff, it's an issue. But if Tiger Woods is doing it, it's not an issue, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, man, screw that be humble stuff. I know parents don't even want to hear this, and your dad's probably gonna watch this and be like, man, don't listen to Chris. He's out of his mind. I'm telling you, man,
Yeah.
being humble don't pay the bills, right?
No.
The world know what you're doing. I'm the baddest. I just won this championship. And nobody can beat me. I leave it out. Who cares? They be all right.
That's
They will
right.
be all right. Like that's what I want to see. Like all you athletes, like man, enjoy your life. And for me, I'm talking from experience because I played football. So in the most humble, silent position, I was an offensive lineman. So we did the dirty work. We never got the praise. But on that field, I used to talk big crap and could nobody beat me. I didn't give up a sack my entire college career. I played against some Hall of Famers and lined up against them. Yeah, I played in the Big East Conference when it was the baddest conference of college football. Guess what? I would talk my crap on the field. So what? Stop me.
Yeah.
That is what it is. I'm not gonna be humble.
Yeah.
I remember telling the coach of University of Miami, he was Larry Coker at the time. I said to him on the side, and we getting our butts kicked at this game at this point, but I'm destroying every defensive lineman he got in his roster. I was like, you better go recruit somebody else to try and get past me because everybody you got ain't working. Vince Wilfork's on the team. My man gonna be in the Hall of Fame. Jonathan Vilm was on the team. I didn't care, and he told me to go shut up and some mixed words. But it's my point. That might be a little extreme, but never dim your light. Like,
Yeah.
let the world know
Yes.
who you are, what you're doing, what you're about. And I think the University of Colorado and Coach Prime is a
They
perfect
doing that.
example.
Yeah.
They are doing it. I love his son, Shador, the quarterback. I love this dude, man. He's just like he's unapologetically good. Be unapologetically good. All right, I'm off my soapbox.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So I got another question for you, Mikayla.
Mhm.
So what would you change? Is there anything in your whole racing career thus far that you would have changed or done differently?
I would so like just me myself, like on behalf of me.
Mhm.
I probably would say get more seat time in training because there was times like before I joined like BTR for instance for this year. The next class up from that would be like Junior Cup, and at the time, the mini moto space that we came from, a lot of the kids, excuse me, a lot of the kids was joining Moto America during the Junior Cup, and for us, it was like there's to go to that next level is really nothing that's stopping you. To be honest, it's just you fill out the stuff, you fill out the applications, you get your license, and then you sign up for the season and you get your sponsor, things like that. For us, what always it was weird that this never happened, but during the off season, me and my brother would not like really train at all. Like we wouldn't go
Really?
outside, none of that. So like 2020 and 2021, no training. Like I guess so. Our off season gets around here like October, end of October time frame, and you have them October to March, and most of the races will start March in Daytona. And me or brother, we would get like no seat time in, no training, no nothing, and then we would show up to the races. And the crazy part was we would still show up to the races and still like be right there with kids. But my dad always told us too. He was like, if you guys got seat time in, and if you guys train for it, you guys would be so much better. So for me, Granted, now I've gotten better with doing my training. Like I at least in a month, like this month alone, I think I've done like 4 track days or 2 track days and a race weekend or whatever, and then I still have more coming up. So in my head, I'm like, training time is and seat time is key. Because my dad always told us, he was like, you can't keep getting away with thinking you're going to show up to these races and finish top 3 if you're not putting those seat time in. But then you got the other competitors that are training and they're finishing top 3. And you can't be mad at it at all. You can't say, oh, well, their bike is faster, oh, whatever. It's like, no, they just putting the work for it. And that's how I look at like BTR, for instance. A lot of people, they're like, man, you went undefeated and all this other things. I'm like, yeah, but it would, and they kind of like, or I shouldn't say they, because it wasn't the program. It was the outsiders looking in on the program. And they would be like, oh, she has race experience and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, I may have race experience, but it comes down to when you come back home and what do you do on your weekend when you're not racing with BTR, for instance? Are you just sitting on your couch? Are you kind of like doing whatever you got to do back home? Because for me, like, I didn't take the program as, oh, it's BTR, it's ladies, whatever. Like, I got this in the back. I didn't feel that way. I'm like, no, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to do the best that I can. I'm going to show people and show Royal Enfield how fast I can actually take this bike and things like that. So in my head, I'm like, I just train for it,
Yeah.
And my dad always tells, like, seat time is key. And everyone would be like, man, you're so good. I'm like, yeah, because when I'm not here racing, like, I put in a lot of work. This is not, this is hard work paying off. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was hard work.
Champions ain't made on game day. It's all the preparation before it.
Exactly.
That's great.
I'm like,
So,
a lot of good things played a role in like me getting the championship, not just from having race experience, because like I didn't do any racing at all last year. And some people say you can get back in the race space and you can be better, or it can take you kind of like a little minute, to get back in that space, just because you've been off of racing. Like you haven't been like in, I guess, like your heart's pumping that fast. You gotta, like, your mind's running, like your eyes like all over the place, because you're like, all right, like you gotta keep up with you and the bike at the same time to finish the race. But yeah, so I tell people, like, yeah, hard work, all that was hard work that paid off. So
And you're a natural, so
yeah,
that's the icing on the cake.
it really was.
how do you feel about this electric bike world that's kind of coming into play? Oh, she said, yeah.
I feel like how actually coming out. I just saw it the other day too. They're coming out with some electric bike, and I'm like, we have electric cars these days. It would not surprise me if electric bikes starts becoming a thing and them start racing. Like I know one of my good friends, Stefano Mesa. He actually podiumed his electric bike for the first time. He's the first electric bike to podium against gas powered bikes. Yeah. Now,
Really?
yeah, and like I watched the race and I was like, holy crap! Like he was basically showing the bike is capable of doing that. You know what I mean? And I forgot the company that makes the bike, whatever. But yeah, so in my head, I'm like, it wouldn't surprise me if things start going to the electric world and we start having these champion cups of electric. It really wouldn't surprise me.
That's pretty cool, because that means that battery has to be able to last a pretty long time.
And I was really surprised. Like, so the track that they raced at, like they just raced at Coda, and one of the one of the corners, one of the corners they had went, like they was going up a hill. Now, granted, it looked like going up the hills. They had the gas powered bikes had a little advantage, but that just naturally because it's electric. But he was still able to like zip and zap through the corners, and I was just like, man, like that was just cool to see. Like you have gas powered, then you have electric. So kind of just.
But that turn, going into turn 1 at Coda, for y'all that don't know, it's a steep hill. Yes, you're coming off a long straightaway, but it's a steep hill. So I could definitely see how the electric bike was crying a little bit.
But
yeah, I imagine that, because I figure, like, obviously with the electric bike, a big advantage is like instant throttle response, right? Like as soon as you even tweak your wrist, the thing's ready to go. But I never really thought about it on, how's that applied power when going up a steep hill or something like that. Right? So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It's they're I can't even say they're coming. They're here. They're here. But I could imagine too, right? As a racer, and both of you ladies could attest to this. So much of racing is a sensory thing, right? Not only do you feel your bike or your car, but you hear it, right? And to lose that part of it, I never forget. Big Daddy Don Gartlitz came to Palm Beach International Raceway to test, and he was testing his electric dragster before he even made public that he had it. So this was like the first. Actually, I'm lying. This was the first public appearance of his electric dragster, and it was just so weird to hear that thing go down the track and be quiet. Like it was just silence. You just heard the
A
tires,
whistle.
the glue, and then that buzz sound. It
Yeah.
go down the track. But
Yeah.
then it was weird. He was having issues, and when he was trying to launch it off the line, something was happening, and it kept on bogging in whatever electric way it was bogging.
Yeah.
So, and he got kind of mad because I asked people in the audience, did anybody have an iPhone charger for his dragster? He wasn't too happy about that. I was only playing though, but apparently the legendary drag racer wasn't trying to hear all that. But it's my point though, like, there's so many things that come into it as far as, the heat of the battery, right?
Yeah.
Like how much heat can this hold the load of the battery? Like how much power
Lasted for that race because I think now granted they had a restart, but I heard that it was like pushing like 110 over 105 that weekend. So I'm like, the fact that the electric bike was able to last that long with the heat and with the rider. Now, granted, he's not like he's like a heavy set dude or anything like that, but just still like you have a bike that has load and then you have heat and then it's electric. Like the thing is already hot just from it being like always gas, always on the throttle.
Yeah, it's
How long
always
was
on.
that race?
Say again.
How long was that race?
So when I watched it, I think the restart was like 5 laps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not
But
bad for the EV.
at another track, and that was their last race. This past weekend was their last race on it. So.
Gotcha.
So what's next for you? What can we expect? I mean, 2023 is winding down. What do you have kind of rounding out 2023, and what's on your horizons for 2024? What can the people expect to see from you coming up?
So actually, I made an Instagram post and I was like, after the BTR season was done, I'm like, all right, I'll do my endurance race. I'll do my little bit of track days that's left, things like that. And I got offered an opportunity to ride the last round at New Jersey Motorsports Park with Carnes Performance on the Junior Cup bike, which is a Ninja 400. So super excited for that. It's really going to be fun. I was just there like on my Ninja 400 like 2 days ago. I haven't been to Jersey in like 3 years, at least riding on that track. So now that I went back on that track, I'm glad I did go because it was like a lot of different things I got to test out. Track conditions, not the greatest. We're not going to say that out loud, but if I can be honest.
And my boy, a good friend of mine, is assistant general manager there. I'm gonna get him.
So they said next year it will be repaved, which
Okay.
here, because like it's a super popular track. So yeah, I'll be finishing that'll be my last race. No, that won't be my last race. That'll be my last Moto America race. The Moto America season is done after that weekend. And then the following weekend, I plan to be at ARMA, which is a barber vintage fest. The ladies of last year, the BTR program last year did it, and they're like, it's super like big event, like thousands of spectators comes out. And then now Royal Enfield has offered me to work their demo events, so their demo days. So I get to go out there and test some of their bikes and meet new people and things like that. So super excited for that. My start of the season and rounding out this season has definitely been one that I won't forget, but it definitely has been one that I've truly enjoyed.
That's so
Let me get her
awesome.
autograph now before it's too late.
What you mean? It's already too late. Like
Yeah,
she on
yeah.
Mikayla, I am so proud of you. Just watching your journey from when you were taught to now is phenomenal. And I know it's only up from here, girl. Like I tell you all the time, like get ready because your ship is about to take off.
It's crazy because like being in the BTR program, like having all the spectators come up, like I'll come off the track and I'm like, all right, let me just take like a 5-minute debrief, write down my track notes, and then you got all like little fans kind of like, oh my goodness, you're number 78, and all like it's super cool because I tell people I'm like, I remember when I was that kid when I was younger, and I'll be going up to the race just like, can I get your autograph? So to have the same, like either like little girls come up to me or even the older folks, like they're like, man, like the fact that you're a young lady that's doing it, like you don't really see a lot of women out here doing, like just being in motorsports in general, you know, and to see you racing on, you know, a motorcycle of all things. I'm like, yeah, I enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like that's always will be my first love, you know, motorcycles.
That's
So.
great. And they call you Boss Baby, right?
They call me Boss Girl. My dad gave me that
Boss
name, and I was kind of like keeping like on the low, like, all right, you know, Boss Girl, like that's just a name that they call me like in the family, like. But after a while, some of my friends, they was like, hey, Boss Girl, and I'm like, yeah, and it kind of like just stuck around because what happened was in 2021 when me and my dad had did the endurance race, we did it where it was like, how do we do it? So most of the time when we do endurance races, we'll do like we'll split like an hour in like an hour straight. He'll ride for an hour, then I'll get on for an hour. But I think that race he got a little tired beforehand, and I just finished out the race. So I did like at the time it was only like 45 laps that I did. So he came back in and he's like, so now you are officially Boss Girl. You know, you finished the race and all this other stuff. So then that was the start of it. And then now there's like a lot of people like, you should just stick with that name. So now even
I'm not even gonna hold you like that.
was like,
My marketing brain is going crazy with what you could do with the Boss Girl thing. Like that's
exactly. So I got like, it was crazy because like I went online, I typed in like Boss Baby, and I found the Boss Baby that was African American that had like the poof balls, and I got the guy, my graphic designer, to change the eye color from like blue to brown. That's my eye color, and people was like, oh my gosh, like that looks just like you. I'm like, yeah. So that's definitely
like in the second one they had the little black baby girl. Yeah.
Yep.
I was just gonna say that, and I love your logo for the Boss Girl. It's so perfect. It's so you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then plus a lot of people are like, you look so young anyway. So I'm like, you know what? This is like I can be a boss and you know like look young at the same time. So this is perfect.
Now you're 19, but you legit look like you're 12. I'm not even gonna lie.
And I'm like, I don't see how. They're like, you just do. And I'm like, I guess.
You ever thought about, I don't even know if they still do it. Have you ever thought about like Isles of Man? Like
you know, I saw that. My thing, because I love motorcycles so much, I'm pretty much I shouldn't say I'm pretty much down for whatever. I should not say that. I am down to try new things, I should say. You know, like if someone's like, hey, would you do like an Isle of Man? Like I watched it, I'm like, man, that is like so man, it's really hard to put in words, like the requirement of physical, mental, emotional, the whole like everything. Like you're literally putting your life on the line.
Yeah. Half the time the wheels aren't even on the ground. Like
and, you know, the cool part is, you know, watching those guys go at that rate of speed and to able to hit their marks every time. They make no mistakes, but also in that kind of space, you cannot afford to make any mistake. Like any slight, like off an inch from where you're supposed to be looking at, that's it.
That's it.
I'm gonna do that too. I'm gonna put that poster on this wall too of me on the Isles of Man on the bike, and I'm just let it be there.
Oh my! Wow,
that's dope, man. It was so great to. It was my first time really getting a chance to talk to you. We've been back and forth a little bit on Instagram, but you know now I'm super hyped to have this conversation and just you're so fascinating, man. And you're young, you know, just and doing it. You're focused. You're driven. You're accomplished. You're a woman. You're black. You're doing it. You're an example. You're a role model. You're a coach. Like it's crazy. You're only 19. I feel so unaccomplished, but I'm honored to be able to like listen to your story and I'm super excited to see more and you know tell everybody your website. You know we have your Instagram there. Tell them you know some of these series that they could follow you in and let's get some fans checking you out.
So my website is MikaylaMooreRacing.com, and pretty much that has all my schedule. That's the majority of my schedule, my race schedule. For us, we try to do this because I'm a big weather watcher. Okay, so when it comes to racing motorcycles, I don't mind doing the rain, but if I don't have to ride in the rain, I just won't. You know what I mean? So I kind of plan. Luckily, I got super lucky being in BTR, not dealing with any rain. Last year, the girls, I think it was like 2 rounds that it rained out, and not a fan of the rain at all.
And do you want to shout out some of your sponsors?
Yeah, so my sponsors, so technically I'm still on contract, so I still have to give them a shout out. Royal Enfield. I'm on contract to the end of this year. So.
Pay them bills, girl. Pay them bills.
Yeah. So Royal Enfield, Olin's, a ride, Dunlop, especially Dunlop, man. Between Dunlop and Olin's, like having those two sponsors, being in the program, you know, like we really got lucky. Like I'm super thankful for Royal Enfield for giving us the platform and the opportunity to showcase our skills, especially being in Moto America, because it is televised and it is lives and stuff like that. And also having the sponsors that back us, because a lot of them could have said, yeah, no, they're women. No, we'll find somebody else. But the fact that they tag along and join our program, super thankful for them. Parts Unlimited for sure. They gave us a definitely generous offer when it comes to getting stuff that we need. And just everyone else that supported me, all my fans, you guys, especially Dystany. It's crazy. I remember like the first time I met her, and I was like, you was on the 460 bike, and she was like, "You should come out to my race." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, like that's the plan. Like we're gonna go there." I remember when I first met you, and then you're like, "You need to try a drag race." I'm like, maybe. I maybe try, and then I eventually did, and she was like, "Look at you, you're grown up."
Tell you, she's your biggest fan. She has talked about you, and I've known Dystany for almost 2 years now total, and she's talked about you a million times, and that's how you kind of got on my radar. And then when we were talking about, our new podcast together, and the first guest, like she had you booked before I even knew about it. She's like, "Mikayla's doing it." I was like, "It is what it is. Let's go." Like,
my girl, she's doing so much in the world.
Can both like relate to like being in motorsports, you know what I mean? That's like that makes things like so much easier, and it's easier, like I said, it's easier to relate to things, we can talk that racetrack motorsports language,
Yes.
So.
That's super dope, man. Well, Mikayla, I appreciate you coming on, tapping in with us. Big shout out to our sponsors, Racing Royalty. We got Pure Fuel Sport, Dystany Spurlock Racing. Big shout out to everybody who makes this podcast possible. And once again, big up yourself. Thank you for tapping in with us. And I know this won't be the last time that we link up.
Definitely.
See you.
All right, y'all.